Hello and good afternoon. I am sitting here in the Scottdale Mennonite Church on Market Street in Scottdale, and I have the privilege to be sitting with Pastor
Leah.
Nice to meet you, Pastor Leah.
Nice to meet
Very
you.
good. Now, you described yourself, before I turned the camera on, you described yourself as a newbie. Now, what what gives you that name?
I'm a fresh pastor. I started about 2 months ago here at Scottdale, and this is my first time in a pastoral role at a church, so I am learning a lot.
Oh, I have no doubt of that. But you're no stranger here because you grew up in this church, you were telling me. Yes.
Yeah, my family moved to Western Pennsylvania when I was 6, and so this is the congregation that raised me, and so it feels like a real honor to be invited back into this community in a leadership role.
I have a similar background in that I'm in the church that I grew up in as well. Do you think that's been a help to you, or has that been a challenge to you?
It's definitely been a help.
Good,
for
good,
sure,
yeah.
for sure. It helps to kind of have a sense of who some of the people are and some of the history of this community and what some people have been through. Of course, I'm getting to know folks in a different way as an adult and as a pastor. But yeah, I definitely had a soft spot in my heart for this congregation because of the way that they really became family to my family. When we went through some really hard times, they became our family. And so I was attracted to be part of this community again and see how they're still being family to each other.
Do they call you pastor?
Some of them do. I don't like formalities very much, so they call me Reverend Rittenhouse if they want to really, poke at me a little bit.
I get Davy once in a while because I grew up, as a little boy, so in the church. So what is the physical address of your church?
We are at 801 Market Street in Scottdale.
And the times of your services?
We meet, our service starts at 10:30 on Sunday mornings. Usually people are starting to gather around 10 to visit and listen to some music, but 10:30 is when we start our service.
And you were telling me before, you don't always meet here at the church. You have something called Round the Table?
Yeah, once a month we do something called Church Around the Table. And so instead of meeting here in this building, people meet in small groups in each other's homes and spend some time in that smaller community connecting with each other and worshiping in a small group.
And that works for you?
Yeah, some people are really like that smaller, more intimate space. And so we actually have some folks that don't often show up to church on Sunday mornings, but they are part of the Church Around the Table group, and that's more their speed.
Very good. And you have an event coming up, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, December the 3rd? Is that correct? What's going on there?
So Scottdale Historical Society they're hosting a Christmas house tour. So most of the buildings on the tour are historical homes in Scottdale, but they usually have 1 or 2 churches. So this year Scottdale Mennonite is going to be open as part of that tour. It's December 3rd from 2 to 6. It's a self-guided tour. I believe they're selling tickets at Miss Martha's Floral in downtown Scottdale. It's a fundraiser for the Scottdale Historical Society, and so things will be decorated and folks will be wandering through town checking out the different spaces.
Oh, very nice. And that's next Saturday night. Do they have to start with that Miss Martha's Floral first, or can they come straight here?
Miss Martha's is where they're selling the tickets,
okay.
And I believe they're selling them up until the day before the tour, so that would be next Friday.
So you got to move. You got to move.
It's coming up quick.
Exactly. Well, the purpose of these interviews that I've been doing is to encourage people to come to church. People have been very hesitant for years now, not just recently, but for years to go inside a church. I don't know what they think, the roof is going to fall on them or they're going to burst into flames or whatever. But especially since the pandemic and the coronavirus situation. So I was hoping you could give a few words of encouragement to get people back attending church.
Yeah, so I definitely think of church as the larger body of Christ. And so church isn't just about what we do on Sunday morning together. That's just a small piece of it. Being the church is all day, every day. It's supporting and encouraging each other. It's outreach to our community, trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus. But I do think that Sunday mornings are a great time to come together with other people who are wanting to follow Jesus, because that's really hard sometimes. Yes, and so to be encouraged by each other is really important. And so yeah, if you're looking for a community to support you in your walk, or you're just curious, come on in to our church or any church, and we'd love to have you as part of our community, part of our piece of the body of Christ here.
I always feel that the threshold of your church's front door is the hardest thing to cross, but once you're in, you're okay. You just, for some reason, that's so hard. You just walk into that door, but once you walk in and sit down, I'm sure you'll be okay. Now, you seem to have a real good heart for the ministry. What led you to become a pastor? Because certainly you seem like you would have many, many, many other options. Not like an old geezer like me, but you have many other options. What led you into the Lord's work?
Yeah, so I've worked with kids and young adults for a lot of the jobs prior to this one. I've had a heart for working with kids, and that was my entry point into ministry, was working with kids and young adults in the church. But since then, I have been directing summer camp at Laurelville Retreat Center. If you know where that is, that's about 15 minutes away from here.
It's a very beautiful place. Very well kept, very well managed. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So I've been directing summer camp there for the past couple of years, and have found myself in a more pastoral role with my summer camp staff, mentoring the counselors, and I love Jesus, and a relationship with Jesus changes everything. And I think realizing how much that can change a person's life, experience that for myself, but also for others. I'm just excited about the work that God's doing, and I never really thought I'd find myself here as a pastor of a church. That's never something I thought I would do. But that's where God has led me. So here I am.
If I said it once, I said it 100 times. If you want to make God laugh, make plans, because He's got other plans for you. Well, that's tremendous. I appreciate your testimony on that. But you also, you've not cut ties with the Mennonite camp. You still work there, is that correct? What do you do there?
Yeah, I work at Laurelville Retreat Center as the youth program manager. So I'm still working at the summer camp aspect of things, but we're actually, if I can make a little plug for Laurelville while we're here, we have a retreat for youth coming up in January for kids in grades 2nd grade through 8th grade. I've been working together with some folks to create a program for junior high and high school students this winter coming up. So if you don't happen to hear anything about that and it sounds interesting to you, give Laurelville a call. We want to be a place for faith formation and fun and building relationships for youth in the community. So that's what I've been working at.
If someone would come here on a Sunday morning, or the roundtable discussion, that's a little more relaxed, but if someone would come here on a Sunday morning, what could they expect? Are you more traditional? Are you contemporary? What is your service style?
Yeah, I would say we're more on the traditional end. We're pretty relaxed and informal, I would say. But as far as like the structure of the service, that's pretty like consistent from one Sunday to the next. We often sing out of a hymnal, but our hymnal does have some contemporary praise songs in it, so we do a little bit of a mix when it comes to singing. We have, prayer, music, a message, a little bit of time of sharing with each other. That's the gist of the service. So more traditional structure, but a pretty relaxed, informal atmosphere. We often laugh during the service.
Well, me too, but they usually laugh at me. But well, I don't know how to sum this up except with one word. It's been a delight meeting you.
You too.
And interviewing you. Thank you for your time. I'm sure you're very, very busy. Anyway, God bless you.
See ya.